Welcome, everybody, to the Resistance broadcast. I'm John. Thanks for joining us on this Monday, midway through May. We're approaching the anniversary of Star Wars. We're also approaching Make Solo 2 Happen Day on May 23rd this year. Very excited about that. I'm John. With me, as always, is James and Lacey. And our guests, most of you probably know him, but he's a world news correspondent for Scripps News, an unapologetic nerd. And now he is Canon as a writer for the reference book Star Wars Timelines, which is our main focus for this episode, and you could buy it anywhere right now where books are available via DK Publishers. Welcome back to TRB for the 500th time, Clayton Sandell.
Hello, everybody.
Clayton.
How you doing,
Hello. It's nice to see you. It was great seeing you in London. We've now met in two different countries.
I know.
It's true.
Continents.
And as per usual for Star Wars Celebration, most of the people that came up and said hi or said that they'd see me were fans of your show.
Is that real?
It's real.
Is that
no,
real?
it's real. It's real.
That's amazing, man.
Yep.
That's so cool. That's cool.
Yep.
And
It's
hopefully
true.
everyone was nice to you.
Everyone was very nice. Yeah,
Good.
even the drunk ones. Yeah. Oh, no, it's great. Yeah.
But me,
I hated you on TRB.
We tune you out. Yeah.
how
But no,
was we spent a decent amount of time together, especially the last night at the canteen, which was a lot of fun. But how was your celebration overall? How do you stack this one up overall?
this one for me was the best by far. I was kind of looking back on the evolution of my Star Wars Celebration visits, and when I first went, it was sort of on a fluke. It was Anaheim 2015, and I'd never been before, and for me it was like the cool stuff was the stuff to look at, all the cosplayers, and I was like sort of blown away when I went to my hotel.
Didn't you cosplay that year? Is
There
that
was-
the year?
He dressed up as Kylo Ren or something.
Oh, I did that in Orlando. Yeah, I did that in
Oh,
Orlando a
Orlando.
couple years later. But yeah, I was just, there was just so much to see and take in, and it was just like the spectacle of Star Wars. And as each subsequent celebration came and went, you start to meet more people, and then you meet people again that you met at the one before, and you slowly start to build this community of Star Wars nerd friends. And so now that's what I look forward to, is seeing you guys and seeing everybody else that we've come to know over the years. And that's so in that way, Celebration was the best, because it was, got to see a lot of people that I hadn't seen in a while. And then just the stuff I got to do. I got to moderate a panel with Doug Chang and Jason Horley.
That's amazing, man.
And I was on a publishing panel, and we signed copies of Timeline.
You're an
So,
author
it was
now.
just this weird, surreal weekend. Like every moment of it was fun for me, and so yeah, it was definitely the best by far.
That is great, man. Yeah, I think you and I started talking like the day after like this first Solo trailer came out. We exchanged on Twitter a couple times, but we actually got on the phone and we chatted about it. And then a year later, we were in Chicago, and I went to your panel that you had there, and you like gave me this big hug, and I'm like, we're like friends now. And now
I know, right? Yeah. And I've seen, going to your meetup, which was awesome last year in Anaheim, and running into, I run into your listeners multiple times over, so like,
Crazy.
it's just cool that's
Yeah.
for me what the experience has become about. Whereas in the beginning it was just like, Star Wars, and now it's like, this is like reunion times. So
Yeah.
it was great, and it was a great city to do it in, and I just had a total blast. I was actually there for 2 weeks because we were on vacation the week before, and so I had a lot of London time. I was there for like 2 weeks total. But
Nice.
Are you
going to
come
Japan?
back- Yeah, you're going to Japan?
yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I think so. I'm planning on it. How about you guys?
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
planning on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, did you come back unscathed? Because the three of us got hit pretty hard by
I don't know how I came back unscathed. I avoided it in Anaheim too, where everybody that I seem to be around in close proximity was testing positive. So I don't know what.
So you're Mr. Magoo.
I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea how.
You know what it is? You're so tall, you're just breathing different air. than
Breathing above
everybody else.
everybody. Yeah.
Whereas I'm
Absolutely.
5'4", I'm in the, I'm in everybody's air.
You're in it. Yeah.
The lower levels, of course, aren't there.
But,
Like Clayton's one of the people, him and Jonas, that I actually have to literally look up to a little bit. So
but yeah, no, it was great. It was a lot of fun, and
yeah,
it was great seeing everybody.
So yeah, I have to say it again for everybody because I got my dates to make sure my dates are correct. A week from tomorrow, if you love Solo, make Solo 2 happen day. Use the hashtag. Rob Bordeaux keeps telling us to do it from ILM. The actors keep telling us. Ron Howard, John Kasdan recently tweeted his hashtag Hut Cartel and the end pages for the original draft. So just keep doing it. If it ends up happening, we'll see. But if you love Solo, as we do, let's have some fun. Those days are always very positive. So have a good time a week from tomorrow. Now, Clayton, as a good segue, your book, which, again, people can get pretty much anywhere. I picked it up on Amazon. It is an amazing piece, especially for people who may not be able to have time or access to buy and read everything and watch everything. It really allows you to understand the full story of Star Wars and when things happened.
We did that for you. We did that for you.
And
yeah.
It's also,
I
a
can't
good
thank you enough.
reference that anytime someone asks a question, you could be like, hold on, let me go to page.
You could settle debates. You could settle arguments. Now, I have to ask you, who did you push to get Alden Ehrenreich on the cover of the book? That's what I would like to know.
Yeah. Well, I knew your all's interest, so I sent a message to Kennedy, and this was I had nothing to do, unfortunately, with probably for good reason, with the look of this book. I have such high praise for how they did it, but yeah, Alden, I don't know. He won the lottery because out of all the characters you could have put on this cover, yeah, it's pretty impressive. And the ghost.
I wonder if Harrison Ford said, "Don't put me anywhere near that book unless you want to pay me."
Maybe, yeah, you never know.
But
but
so
yeah.
I want to give a shout out to all the authors, of course. So
Yes.
it's you and Jason Fry, Kristen Baver, Amy Rakow, and Cole Horton. So the Fab Five working together. Now, the High Republic crew gets a lot of praise among fandom. And now I feel like, on the reference side of things, maybe we have a new squad here because I'm not the biggest reader of canon novels. I'm a reference book nerd. I have all the Rinsler books, well, most of them. And, the Han Solo, visual dictionary, all those types of books. So this is right in my wheelhouse. Now, it's a big book, 352 pages. I didn't get it until last week, so I haven't been able to read all of it.
Yeah.
But why don't you just, let us know what it's like writing a Star Wars book. What's the process like? Because we know Star Wars is a different animal. And what was your overall experience? How did it feel creating this, and what was it like?
It was, first of all, when you mention those names, I didn't know what I was doing in the company of people like
you're being humble.
Amy Rakow. No, seriously, because they've done some amazing work, and
for sure.
And so, first of all, I was just completely honored and chuffed to be part of the team. I came to it a little bit later than some did, so I didn't join till I want to say early August of 2021. And basically, because I came to it late, the deadlines were shorter as I started to jump into it. And
a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, a blessing and a curse. And I was so excited to do it, and I was so excited to be a part of it, and to work with those authors, and to DK. I mean, DK is DK. They're incredible. So So I said yes immediately, not knowing what I was getting myself into, because you just have to dive into it immediately. And my section is basically the age of rebellion. So essentially everything from the Battle of Yavin to the Battle of Jakku. And there's some inserts and some different things that were that other people did that kind of got moved into my section. But it involved, and I thought, oh, this is like the original trilogy era. This is my era. Like this is gonna be great. It should be pretty straightforward. It was not. It was immediately having to, because we're drawing from so many sources, not just the movies.
Yeah.
The main thing was comics. There are so many comics in between, like episode 4 and 5, episode 5 and 6. There's so much going on in that time frame, and most of it was comics. So I had probably my days for a while were like getting up at like 4:35 in the morning, writing for a few hours, then going to my day job, and I'm sitting there with a computer, kind of researching. They sent us a bunch of reference books in PDF form, a bunch of comics in PDF form. I had my Marvel Unlimited over on this computer, so I'm like flipping through the comics, and I'm having to read all this stuff. I'm having to get up to speed, and the novels. I mean, the books and novels, there were probably a good dozen or so that I had to get through. So it's a lot. It was a lot because the way it's written, each section, it has the words that go along with each entry are not that many, right? Like some of them are 20 words, some of them are 5 words, some of them are just a few. And it sounds like, oh, well, you're not writing that much for any given section. But I found the opposite was actually true, that you had to read and know everything in order to know how to boil it down to the essence of, given the space that you had. So yeah, it was, for a while, it was a lot of work. I can confidently say it is the hardest single project I have ever worked on. But everyone who was involved said the same thing. Even the editors at DK were like, this is monumental. We've never done anything like this, and it's the most difficult thing we've ever done.
It is a substantial book. And to be honest with you, like, I knew the book was coming out and I was excited about it, but when it actually arrived, I was like, oh my gosh, there's 350 pages. This is incredible. Yeah. And I did not realize that it was as extensive as it was when it came to the comics and the novels and everything. I expected a book that was about timelines in the context of like the movies and maybe some other things. And if it did have the comic references or whatever, it would be like, almost like throwing it a nod. And I'm like, no, man, it's included. Like it happened just the same as the movies or whatever. It's quite incredible how detailed it is as far as a lot of the stuff that happens in YouTube videos sometimes.
Yeah, exactly. And really everything kind of gets equal footing. I mean, there's even video game stuff in there. And so I'll give you one example. One section that is in my chapter, or my era, was all of the comics dealing. So the War of the Bounty Hunters. And that was all happening as we were writing the book. Those issues were coming out, and there is no Lucasfilm oracle that sends you everything in advance. You were basically getting it as it comes. We're just like every other fan. We have to wait for it to come out, and so it would come out, and it's like, okay, now what can we put in? What do we have to leave out? And obviously in publishing, you hit a deadline for getting it to the printer and getting it to the stores and stuff like that. So there is obviously things that have been released since the book has been out, or since it went to print, that aren't going to be in this version. But we were really trying hard to get things in right up to the last minute. So we were sort of adding and adding and adding, and something else would come out, and we'd add that. Toward the end was The Princess and the Scoundrel, the Beth Revis book.
Yep.
That came out pretty late, and I didn't get the book, but I had a synopsis of it, so we were able to kind of work from that. But yeah, it was a lot. It was a lot, and just frenetic kind of pace for a long time.
Wow.
But it was fun. At the end of the day, you're working on a Star Wars book, and it was really cool. And
yeah,
an experience that I will never forget. And I hope people like it. There was somebody on Twitter today, I think actually, who had said that they had gone through it beginning to end, every single page. And what's funny is we weren't sharing. So I wasn't talking to Jason and Amy and Kristen and Cole. We weren't, like, because we were working on separate eras. We weren't communicating all the time. So I didn't know what was in a lot of their spreads. So when I finally got, I still have to go through it and read some of the stuff that I've missed or that haven't been able to read. So, and Cole especially, I think Cole had it really hard because Cole kind of handled the High Republic era, and a lot of that stuff, I mean, like something like 2/3 of it hadn't been released yet.
Wow.
So he was kind of, waiting, had to wait for things to come out.
Well, luckily he just did that other guidebook for Inside Editions about the High Republic that James was just talking about recently. Like,
yep.
So he had a little bit, he was doubling up on books there.
Yeah, exactly. But
so,
yeah, super fun, but a lot of work, and learned a ton, and it was great. And
yeah, because I see early history. It says 26,000 BBY, and I believe that's what Mangold's going to be touching in his film.
Yes. Yeah.
Interesting. When you're making this, and who decides? You have editors, of course, but in terms of, like, do you read a comic, like say something that involves Han and Leia in the 3 years between A New Hope and Empire Strikes Back, and you want to, like, that little piece about Han returning to the rebellion and the romance is sparked, and there's that image of their hands like almost touching each other. Who makes the call on what images are used, and who says, like, yeah, Clayton, I don't know if we want to use that or this? Is there story group involved at all? Is it all just editors with DK? Is it a Lucasfilm editors like Michael Siglane? Like, who's involved with, like, the final cut on what goes in, what doesn't, and the images as well?
Yeah, so when I joined, there was kind of a list of all the books and kind of the major story arcs in a lot of the comics that had already kind of been compiled, and so I had a bit of a roadmap of what to look at and whatnot, and we would just start putting things in, and it would go back to the editors. The editors would kind of weigh in, and if something wasn't clear, if there was a chronology that wasn't quite clear, or a story point that wasn't quite clear, we'd kind of talk to the editors. And then, yes, I don't think it's any secret because their names are in the back of the book, but it went to Lucasfilm, to the story group, for a couple of passes, and they would weigh in, and we'd kind of have discussions about we'd have these discussions sort of justifying why we thought something should go somewhere. But frankly, a lot of it, you'll see there's a lot of estimated times in there, just because there are so many things that you really can't place to a super accurate degree. There's just no real... There's just no placing some of this stuff, frankly.
But what else? What other, like, Marvel doesn't have this, do they? Like, what other major storied franchise has something that feels like it's real documented history like this?
Yeah, exactly. Well, On that note, our friend Anthony Bresnikan is working on the Marvel version of this book.
Oh, he is. Okay, there you go.
Yeah, and I think he's
Right
talked
on.
about that. But I'll
Is
give
it for the
I
for the
feel-
Marvel movies, like the
Uh,
cinematic universe, or is it like the
I
Marvel
think it's
comic world?
the short answer is I don't know, but I believe it's everything. It's comics, movies,
Oh
Oh
my
wow!
God.
the series. Yeah, yeah. Um, but you know how much I love behind the scenes. So I want to just show you what I was working off of was a spreadsheet that was hundreds and hundreds of entries long. This is
Oh.
this is what I got to see, right? And this was for spread, what I had labeled spread 17. This would have been the for Jedi, the Endor, the attack on Endor. This was my rough sketch that I sent to the editors and the graphic designers because they wanted us to kind of weigh in on how it looked. So this is my original artwork that got sent in, and then they turned it into these beautiful, amazing
Graphical timelines.
graphical spreads.
When you were entering stuff into this timeline, was that what it was? It was just an Excel sheet that you were like, okay, 39 BBY, this is what it is. And it was just one big long list.
Yeah, one big long list. We all shared nightmares. I would text Amy Rickow and Kristen Baver, and we had this like thread going of just we were seeing spreadsheets in our dreams, and I forget how long I have it somewhere, but I think my spreadsheet was something like it was almost 900 entries, I think, roughly. So yeah, it was a lot. It was spreadsheet hell.
Wow.
And then it was funny because when we did the publishing panel, the Lucasfilm publishing panel at Celebration Anaheim in last year, that was the first time any of us really had seen some of the spreads that we had worked on. And so it just like phenomenally impressed at how DK can take this and a bunch of spreadsheets and turn it into
It's very graphical. Did you
artwork.
have anything as a Star Wars fan that you were like, I'm definitely putting this in here? Or like any like really nerdy things that you had to make sure made it into the spreadsheet, or you fought for to get into the spreadsheet?
Oh man, that's a good question. Nothing sticks out. Nothing sticks out. I think I was so worried about missing something.
I was gonna say, get everything in.
I never really, yeah. I don't think I even afforded myself the luxury of thinking, oh, I've got to get this in.
I honestly, you said Cole had the hardest part. I think you had the hardest part because you have the part that's going to be scrutinized the most by fans, I think.
Maybe, yeah. And I'm sure
old school fans,
right, that are going to go through and be like, this is what I know, this is what I. So like Cole, while I'm not saying that he didn't have a hard time, I'm saying that's something new that people are still learning. This is, I think your part is definitely people that have grown up with this. They have a personal ownership of it. So
yeah,
I applaud you on that, because I would be nervous. I'd be like, oh my God, what if I leave something out that someone really cares about?
Oh, totally. And
Yeah.
I'm sure I haven't really I know there's discussion about things in the book, and I haven't really paid much attention to it yet, but I'm sure there will be things that people
I'm also sure there will be other editions of this, because as we were talking about offline, the year section ends, I think, with, or the Mandalorian sections end, not your section. The Mandalorian one ends with the Book of Boba Fett, which means that they're missing a whole season.
Right, so. Exactly. And there were, as we were getting right down to the deadline, Obi-Wan Kenobi was about to come out, but but like I said, we didn't get any advanced look at that, and they wanted to be very careful just to make sure that the final show that people watched on Disney Plus, they wanted to be mindful that nothing got changed. You don't want to put it in the book and then something gets changed at the last minute in the show.
Right.
Which has happened with the other reference books, is sometimes they'll have things in there that aren't in the movie or never made. Like, and then you're like, wait, what is this?
I know one of the reference books, I think it's specifically the Force Awakens one, has something from the trailer of Maz Kanata handing the lightsaber to Leia, and it's like, that didn't happen, So it's like,
Well, the
Yeah.
novelization of The Force Awakens, Alan Dean Foster has Rey and Poe meeting each other, and then they meet each other at the end of The Last Jedi for the first time in
Right,
film.
right,
So,
right. So
yeah.
they're trying to be very cognizant of that type of stuff. But we were able to squeeze Obi-Wan Kenobi in there. But yeah, you hit that deadline, and so there will definitely be in a year or two, hopefully, an updated and expanded edition of Star Wars Timelines with
Now,
all the latest stuff.
Now it has to, because it was such a grueling but rewarding process. Now that it's done, though, it has to feel that much more rewarding because it's in your rear view now. It's all the achievement and
Now,
wow.
yeah, now it's the fun part. This is the this is the enjoyable part now, where people are discovering it and they're getting it in the mail and they're tweeting at us every day that they've got their copy. And I haven't, knock on wood, I haven't had anybody call us out for having something completely backwards. So that's
heads up.
cool.
That's what everybody's getting for Christmas is this book from Clayton.
Yeah, exactly. But no, people seem to be enjoying it, and that's really cool. Like, that's new for me. It's such a weird, fun, fulfilling thing that people take time out of their day to take a picture of their book or hold it up and take a selfie with it and tweet at us or hit us on Instagram or whatever. And
what does the family think of it? Your kids think you're a superstar now, or what?
Yeah, my son Alex thinks it's pretty cool. I'm actually going to his school next Wednesday to talk to the 3rd and 4th grade class writing a project. So we're going to gather in the library in the morning and go over it. So yeah, I think he's pretty pumped.
You just made him the coolest kid in school. Is he ready for that burden?
I said, well, you'll have to introduce me. And he goes, no, I hate public speaking. I'm not doing that. But I think he wants to be there and kind of see it. And
little Timmy's going to be like, yeah, my dad, he's an accountant. And then Alex will be like, my dad writes Star Wars canon reference books. Sit down, check this out.
Yeah, no, it's cool. So yeah, I think they're pretty excited about it. Yeah.
Oh man, amazing, absolutely amazing. I look forward to reading through the whole thing because I don't have time to read every comic, to play the video game. I was joking the other day about how I still haven't played the first Jedi Fallen Order, let alone the new one. I
haven't either.
Yeah, and it's like this is huge because when you talk about Star Wars and stuff, sometimes you'll think of something or speculate on something where something either already happened or something couldn't happen because a story was already told. And this is the cheat code to figure all that out. So So how much more of how much closer do you feel to a Pablo Hidalgo or Dave Filoni now with all the stuff you had to absorb? Like, do you feel like an expert now?
Oh no, not at all, not at all. Because I had this narrow window of time that I was responsible for. Like I said, I'm going to go through this, and I have to read a lot of this stuff because a lot of it is new to me. So no, not even close. Not even close. Although Pablo did tweet it out yesterday or today, I forget which, but that was nice to see that he took a picture of it, and
very cool.
He made a joke that he was getting ready to read the new Star Wars reference book by Tim Ilines. was his joke. But anyway, no, I'm nowhere near that level. And like I said, it was such a frenetic deadline pace that it was kind of like I don't even know that I absorbed it.
Yeah,
it was just like, all right, I got it. I'm putting it in the spreadsheet. We're moving on. Yeah.
Well, spinning off of that, I was kind of going to ask, you did have to absorb a lot of Star Wars content in a short period of time. Was there anything, because like you may still say like, well, obviously the original trilogy, that's my favorite, whatever, but of the new stuff that you took in just to be able to produce this book, was there something in particular that you found interesting, a particular storyline in the comics or a book or something?
Yeah,
I was like, really wow, that was really good. I loved it.
I really enjoyed because it was sort of coming out. I mentioned it before, the War of the Bounty Hunters, that whole arc, and I kind of made me think that is that should be if they're not going to do Solo, they should do Kira.
Yeah.
And
Wow.
I mean, that was such a well done series. It would be cool to kind of see her backstory and get into that a little bit more. So I enjoyed that. But there were like little moments. John, we were talking earlier, the like stuff that there were little moments that were sort of significant Luke Skywalker moments. For example, like the first time that he moves an object, he moves a noodle in a book.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
With someone that he falls in love with and is
and
just
then
like
she,
gone. It's like that's a
yeah,
significant story. And like
spoiler alert, yeah, she doesn't make it. But yeah, stuff like that. Like that's you would never know that was going on. So that's fun because that again, for the first time we've sort of taken all of these threads from all these different media and tried to weave them together into one place, which is pretty cool.
Now, I want to we want to get to before the end of this episode, we definitely want to check in to see like what your thoughts were on all the footage from Celebration and what you're looking forward to most and all that stuff. But I have to ask you two things. One, I saw either you posted a video of it or a photo of it. What was the experience like walking into the store and seeing your book on a bookshelf and doing that like private moment to yourself? How was that? And then also, I have to sort of, praise all of you for doing this book because like preserving Star Wars history and that there's so many moving parts that we're talking about for fans to be able to access this stuff. Like say a new fan wants to show up to Star Wars, like James has talked about this, like he was overwhelmed by the EU stuff. And it's like they wipe Canon clean, he's like, now I can start fresh. Like people can start being a Star Wars fan and like read this book and be up to speed like all of us are. And it's like so important for a new fan who wants to get in and might feel overwhelmed. It's like, check out this and you'll be pretty good to go. So
yeah, you can, because we do cover sort of that nerdy, to answer the second question first. We do cover the sort of esoteric things that happen to these characters in these other sort of lesser known, non-movie, non-series places. And so so we get into a lot of that. I joked last year to Kevin Scott that I had some Jackson entries in my section, which there's some hardcore Jackson fans out there that most people might have no idea who this character is. So that was cool. But to answer your first question, that going into the bookstore was just completely surreal, but a little scary too, because I had not planned on doing that. So I just come from lunch and I was driving by the Barnes and Noble that's near our house, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go in. I'm gonna go check it out. And so, because I had remembered during the holidays, they had a huge table of all the Star Wars books, sort of in a nice kind of special display in the middle of the store. And I was like, oh, I bet it's there on that table. And I walked in and it was all gone. All of that was gone. They had rearranged everything.
Oh, no.
So I was like, oh, okay. And I started to get a little nervous because the Star Wars table was gone. And then I had no idea where to find it. So I'm walking all around the store and I'm not finding it. And I finally get to the back where it should be. And I think if you see in the video, I sort of come around the corner and I'm standing there for a few seconds because I'm not seeing it. I'm like, oh crap! I've done all this whole lead up to this to trying to find the book, and it's not here. And I stood there for a second, and then I spotted one. There were two copies, one on the left side and one on the right, and I kind of zoomed into the one on the right. But it was great. It was so cool because man, right in between, like my book neighbors were Amy Ratcliffe on one side and Phil Shostak on the other.
Oh, there you go.
And so it felt like we were in Team Timelines was in good company.
Wow.
But, yeah, it was totally bizarre.
Now, were you tempted to sign the other one?
I was going to say, sign it, yeah.
No, I know that sometimes people do that. I didn't. I didn't. I think mainly because it would probably be weird if just I signed it. I would. I would want the others. I would want the others in there too.
Someone
But
opens it up and is like, "What?"
yeah,
You
why is
circle your name. You're like, this is me.
there... right, with an arrow. Yeah. So no, I haven't yet, but who knows if they ask or I go back and yeah, that's maybe.
Ah, man, so cool. I don't know if you guys have any other questions for Clayton on this book, but
well,
I'll have more once I read through it.
Well,
yeah. We'll
only
come back and talk about it for sure.
The only other thing for me is I'm always really curious as far as like what they let you get away with as far as the way things are worded.
Oh.
Like if it was something along the lines of like, well, the real hero of the rebellion, Han Solo, and then they come back and they're like, we don't see it that way.
Oh yeah, thankfully I didn't get into too many editorial disagreements like that, and I think only because there's we're not creating anything new for we didn't create new storylines, we didn't create new canon or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
We're sort of working from existing sources, and it's small bits here and there. So for the most part I think we were all pretty much on track. I can't think of anything really where they were like, no, you can't really write it that way.
wow.
Yeah, can you rephrase that, please? We think that's problematic, or
right.
something like.
That's interesting. I mean, I'm just flipping through some of the pages, and it's just crazy. And some of the stills they use, it's just like things you don't even like think like to capture, like the behind view of Rey and Ben Solo with the lightsabers, and then what's cool is the first opening inside cover 2, if I remember from my publishing days, cover 2 and cover 3 is High Republic, but the back one is Rey with her new lightsaber to close it out.
Right.
Finally, we get to see her with it,
which is very cool because that's really, it's canonically the last thing we've seen on screen in terms of the timelines. So, and with her new movie coming out, there's certainly more to be added here. But I mean,
that was my idea. No, I'm kidding. It was not my idea.
Well. How about, why don't we end this portion of that? Was there anything that you pushed for? I know James sort of asked you that, but was there anything that you put in here that you're like, yeah, I'm so glad I got to write that, or my favorite snippet of mine is this, or anything like that?
Yeah, I loved working on things like the Battle of Hoth, for example, because it's cool because you can fold in things like the Alexander Freed novels and other things that are going on at that time. So that was fun, kind of weaving together disconnected or seemingly disconnected.
Lost Stars is like all through that stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So that was kind of fun, and for whatever reason, it just seemed like the Battle of Hoth, that was a perfect example of where that happened, because you think you've seen Empire Strikes Back, you think I know everything there is to know about the Battle of Hoth, and then you realize that there's a lot more to it. So yeah, I'd say that was a top one for sure.
Well, congratulations. I'm so happy for you, man, because no one deserves it more. And I know how hard you work on everything you do. So you didn't, I know no way you cut corners, and you put your heart into it, and you love Star Wars. So everyone go pick it up. You go and say hi to Clayton at Star Wars Celebration. Go pick up his book if you haven't yet. Star Wars Timelines. You can get it in bookstores if Clayton hasn't gotten the copies off the shelves for his house. But of course, also Amazon or any book retailer via DK Publishers. Congrats! But so yeah, go pick that up. But we want to ask you. We have 20 minutes or so here. Just want to get your. We chatted a bit at Celebration for sure. But now that it's settled in and you thought about everything, like what'd you think of the the Indy footage? What'd you think of the Acolyte footage? What were your biggest takeaways, and what things that you saw made you more excited about what's ahead?
Well, I will admit, as much of a Star Wars fan as I am, my favorite movie of all time is Raiders of the Lost Ark. And one of the reasons is when I was a kid and that movie came out, was when my mom was going through nursing school. And she and her friend Vicky were, going through doing all their midterms and finals, and the stress reliever that period of time was going to see Raiders of the Lost Ark. And of course, this was when movies would stay in the movie theater for more than 2 weeks. And so we would go after every like final or midterm or whatever. They'd take us kids and go see Raiders of the Lost Ark. So I probably saw that movie 20 or so times in the theater.
Wow.
Become like the dollar show, and just loved it. So getting to see that footage, the trailer, and then that 5 or 6 minutes that they showed, which was nothing plot related. It was one big chase scene, so we didn't really reveal anything or spoil anything.
It felt like the Cairo scene in Raiders to me.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Cairo. It did. It absolutely did. I thought the same thing. And so that was cool to see that. I'm really looking forward to that movie coming out. But Star Wars related stuff, I thought, above all, and I'm kind of irritated that it's not out, is the Acolyte stuff that we saw. That was so great. That, I was trying to remember it because it went by so fast, but it looks so great.
It does. It really does.
The show, it feels very Star Wars to me. I mean, there was this one shot where all of these Jedi and their lightsabers come on at once, and it was just like, that's so
I almost forgot about that. They do have to release this footage.
They have to release it. And I'm shocked.
We were just talking about Carrie-Ann Moss, where they like do her reveal, and everybody in the room was just like, "Oh,
right." So I would love them, and I know it's footage that they're still shooting, so they cobbled it together from whatever they'd already shot, but it would be cool. It'd be really fun if they released that.
They might at D23. That might be what they're waiting for.
When is D23 coming up? That's
August, September, I think.
Okay, yeah, I can see that. But yeah, I think those were my two favorite moments of the whole show. What do you guys think?
Those are mine also. The Indy thing made me sort of oddly emotional for a scene that didn't have a lot of emotion in it. Just hearing the music, hearing the punch sound effects actually made me emotional.
Yeah,
I was in a theater hearing a booming, basing Harrison Ford punch in a new Indiana Jones movie, and that sound effect is iconic. So it's weird that it made me like emotional, but it did.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't know about James and Lacey, but in terms of the content, we know some reveals on stage and stuff, of course, but yeah.
Everybody, and I say everybody, like the 2 or 3 people that I've talked to that have seen it, all describe it as being very true to the original film.
Mm-hmm.
So
right.
that just gets me super excited. So
yeah.
I mean, it was the Acolyte footage for me, I think, was the most surprising out of everything. I sort of half expected to be like, oh, Ahsoka looked great, but I was like, wow, I'm actually really surprised by the Acolyte stuff. Skeleton Crew as well, but I think because we're talking about the Acolyte thing, my takeaway from it was it felt like if Andor was on the Force side of the story instead of the war side of the story.
Yeah.
I think it just looked so seriously well done. I think, you know what I mean? Everything. But it's Skeleton Crew too, man, looks really good. I don't know. I'm excited for those two in particular. Yeah.
I was most excited for Rey.
Ahsoka has the whole Rebels thing too. Yeah. But
Daisy Ridley being back was my big thing. I cried afterwards. I was so excited. I'm on everybody's videos screaming about it. That, and when they did the reveal with all the characters right before that didn't really get any type of pop in the audience, where they had all these creatures and they stood up and started moving and they had people in the suits. Everyone was just so overwhelmed that Kathleen Kennedy was on stage with all these directors that nobody really cared. I literally recorded it and I'm going, this is the best day of my life. Like,
that was cool.
I was all about it. And I know this wasn't part of that session, but the Creature Cantina was one of the best panels I've ever been to.
Yeah,
It was,
Brian was great.
oh my
Brian
God, it
Herring
was
did
so
a great
good.
job.
And I was just, I've never been more jealous of people brought up on stage than those cosplayers. They got to like go into suits.
Yeah.
And I just want to speak to Neil Scanlon so bad. Like that panel made me like, I want to talk to him so bad.
Have you met him, Clayton?
I have not. No, I never have.
Clayton,
He's
do it for
really-
me. Do it for me, Clayton.
He seems like the warmest soul. Like he seems like a really genuinely nice guy, and how he was talking to those cosplayers, and he picked them because of how they were like treated people, and that's really cool to see.
Yeah.
Funny thing about the Daisy reveal is Brian Herring. We had him on our podcast in London, and he had said he had no idea, and he was one of the creatures in costume during that panel.
He was.
So
Yeah.
when he saw her, he was like
behind her.
He's like, "What? What is she doing?" So I don't know. He could have been
Clayton,
fibbing, but that's pretty funny.
Obviously, you're pumped for Daisy coming back, I'm sure. But like, what is your reaction about that? Because these guys have been honest that before that announcement happened, they were kind of like, it's a little soon. What are your thoughts about Rey coming back in a new movie? Do you think it's too soon? Would you like to have waited a little bit?
No, I think it's cool that she's coming back. I think that it's nice. It will be nice to have a continuing thread with a character that we know and a character that we love, and a character who we know a little bit of her history. I actually think that's kind of the way to go versus starting from scratch and having to introduce a whole new set of people.
Sure.
So yeah, I think having that sort of built-in familiarity with Rey, I think is actually pretty good. I was excited. I got really pumped up when she walked out, and
it's hard to move forward when she's part of the parks and everything else too. It's like, now we're gonna move on from that.
Right. Yeah. That is true.
So you hear from people who have seen Indy that it's true to Raiders. It's old school. It's great. They obviously loved it so much that they signed up with Mangold's pitch, which is going the other direction, like we talked about in your book, 25,000 years.
Right.
What do you? How are you like pumped about Mangold tackling old like origins of the Force Star Wars?
I actually am. I think that would be cool because it's something that we've just absolutely never seen before, and I'm kind of intrigued by this idea that we might find and get to know the very first Force user, and how does that come about, and how does it go from there to, light side, dark side? Who's the first person to use the Force? Actually, I said this to somebody. It was the story I didn't know that I wanted to know. One thing I was like, oh yeah, I kind of want. That's a story I want to hear. So yeah, I'm pretty excited to see how they do it.
Do you think this is purely just because he invented the thing? Do you think that even though he's not involved, don't you think that's something they would have to at least consult with George Lucas about?
I think he said he had conversations with George, didn't he, at the panel?
Did he?
Or am I imagining that? I feel like he did.
Mangold?
I think Mangold said he would had conversations with, or like had the opportunity to sit down with George or something, and that was like one of the things he said has been one of the best parts.
Oh, I don't remember him saying.
I don't remember that either.
I wish I could rewatch this panel. I wish I could rewatch this.
I know.
I know. Yeah.
It'd be nice too if they like recorded them
it
and put them out like a month after, 2 months after, something like that, and it'd be like, well, I mean, the people who got to see it were well in advance, and they were there and they were live. That was the experience, but it was a lot of work that we put into this. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like,
or like,
but let's
Lacey
go
said,
with that. He didn't. Let's go with that. He didn't.
If he didn't, do you think? Yeah, because it's it's a big deal.
You think you have to? Yeah, I don't know. I think creator to creator, you'd want to at least have that conversation, just as a courtesy, maybe.
Yeah.
But who knows? I know that even George has thought about it. That
Right.
I'm sure he would have a fascinating answer.
I do love, you know, some of his answers, because I sometimes get down the rabbit hole of YouTube, and if I get sucked into a George Lucas interview rabbit hole, it's like the greatest thing ever, because I've always made this joke that I would love some fantastical world where, you know, there's a DeLorean involved, and all George Lucas from every decade gets together and argues with George Lucas about what the story of Star Wars is, because he always changed it. It was 6 movies. No, it's 12. No, it was 9.
Right.
And then, you know,
Right.
and, you know, Mace Windy was the original Jedi and stuff. So,
well, yeah, exactly. Even if you read through some of those, like Return of the Jedi story conferences that they did with George and Marquand and Larry and you know, they were those, some of those ideas, just some of those ideas that you would assume were long part of the script, just sort of emerged out of these story conferences that, you know, Richard Marquand would suggest, oh, maybe the Emperor's trying to trick them, and the Death Star actually is operational. Like, that was just a comment he made during a.
What if the Empire are actually the good guys?
Yeah,
it's just all this weird stuff.
well, wasn't, I believe, in the making of Return of the Jedi, Rinsler had said that Leia being Luke's sister wasn't something that wasn't until the first or second draft of Return of the Jedi. So Empire was made with no a sibling thing whatsoever, and a lot of people don't realize that. Yeah,
right, exactly. Yeah. It's
and if they did that today, they'd be like, "That's ridiculous."
Right.
How dare you not tell that whole story, write the whole story at once? How dare you?
Yeah. Yep. But that's, you know, that's another good example of why you need, you know, writers throughout the process, because things change and ideas evolve even after production has started, and so
right,
you know, it's just the nature, I think, of the creative process.
Yeah, and that's why, you know, I hope that strike isn't long, because you know, we want more Star Wars. We want Star Wars written well, and we want the continuity there, and all that. So
yeah, which I think is probably, you know, even though it may delay Andor season 2, in fact, I don't see how it doesn't delay Andor season 2, but I would rather they delay and let Tony Gilroy step back and then come back to it when it's okay to come back to it, and make sure that it's right, rather than step away from it and have them push something out, not their ideal whatever. So we'll see.
And the one good thing for Andor is they have an ending, because they have to.
Yeah.
So it's not like if it was a you know, a deadline for the reveal or the release of like that new Rey movie where it's like open canvas, then you have problems. But with Andor, like, we know he already said this is going to end as he's walking onto the Ring of Kafrene or whatever. So they have the ending there. So now it's just filling in how horrible all these Imperials are, and you know, all this stuff. But
I mean, there's just a myriad of things that come up during production, whether it's, you know, a location change or, you know, whatever it is.
Or characters often that die early on get continued on in a series or a film. Like Oscar Isaac is a prime example. He was supposed to die at the beginning of TFA, and then he ends up being one of the biggest characters in the sequel trilogy.
Axe Woves, Katie Sackhoff said was killed off on. They filmed him getting killed in Andor or Mandalorian season 2, and they didn't use it. So they brought him back. And now he was a big part of season 3.
Yeah, exactly. So these things evolve, and it's just how it goes. So
now, before we get out of here, do you did writing this book like wipe you out and you're one and done, or do you have the itch? Like, do you want to do more going forward?
He is doing more, I think, right?
I am doing more. I can't talk about what I'm doing yet, but I am doing more. It did give me the itch, and the other thing is a little more in my wheelhouse, in that it kind of is more of a behind the scenes kind of a project.
Very cool.
Which is phenomenally exciting, and it was a lot of fun to work on, and I think we'll be able to talk about it soon, but I'll let you know when we can. But yes, to answer your question, the itch is there, and so there's another thing that's coming, and then some other ideas that we're kicking around too. So
Very
I want a
cool,
Clayton
man.
Sandell shelf.
There you go.
So you've gotten one.
See?
I need
Now
like
that's see, it's a goal. It's a goal. All right, we'll see what we can do. We'll see what we can do.
Now, have you still had time for you and Alex to go hunting on Facebook Marketplace or for any cool trinkets and Star Wars collectibles? What's going on with you guys in the hunt?
I've been looking. I haven't found anything recently that I want to get. I actually saw another shuttle the other day, but the guy wanted like $500 for it.
Ridiculous. Ridiculous.
But no, I haven't been looking. I did get at a flea market another Y-wing, which is right there. But no, we haven't really been on the hunt for anything lately.
All right.
I would like. I have one snow speeder, but it's kind of beat up. I would like a nicer snow speeder, but
all right.
Haven't found one yet. Still looking.
Not the one Dak Ralter died in then.
No, yeah.
Putting out the call, guys. If you hear this, snow speeder, you got one. You want to get rid of it.
Send them my
TRB
way.
audience. Yeah, get a snow speeder for Clayton.
My way. Yeah.
All right, well then Alex just has to settle with just having the coolest dad at school.
For a while. We'll see, yeah. Until I make him go to bed and put the iPad down, then I'm the worst player ever. You're the worst. But yeah.
Right on, man. Well, anything else in terms of what people can learn or know about timelines or where they can find you? Just plug away, pal. Let's go.
Yeah, sure. Well, I hope you're all checking out Scripps News every once in a while. We're on that. I'm on that fairly frequently, and yeah, still for now on Twitter until it just completely melts down. At Clayton_Sandell, and then on Instagram at Clayton Sandell. And then yeah, just there's always some project we're working on, Star Wars related. So I'll let you guys know as soon as I know.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it. James, how about you, pal?
Twitter and Instagram at Meyer Trunks is where you can find me. Always talking about Star Wars. Maybe
I've always meant to ask you what the genesis what of your handles. What does that mean?
It's a Dragon Ball thing, but it might be gone in the near future anyway, because the only reason it stuck around so long is because I was verified for the longest time.
Yeah.
And so now that I have officially lost that, thank you, Elon. I've been kicking around, like what maybe getting rid of that thing because it's just such a confusing name,
Well, yeah, because people will write to us and say, John, Lacey, and Myra, I love your podcast.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay, I'm not the only one.
Yeah. So at Lacey Gilleran, where can people find you?
At Lacey Gilleran on Twitter and Instagram, and at It's Lacey Gilleran on TikTok.
All right. Yeah, and at Johnny Hoey on Twitter for me. That's pretty much that. And then my other podcast, way different than this, but it's a movie podcast called Just Like the Movies. Check that out on audio platforms. But we want to thank everybody for listening and watching and being a part of the podcast. Make sure you do subscribe to us on your preferred audio platform and rate us if they have a rating. And we want to thank everybody for getting our humble little channel to 2,000 subscribers this past Thursday.
Nice.
So yeah, check us out on youtube.com/@the-resistance-broadcast and subscribe there. We appreciate that very much. And Clayton, I did something stupid, but it's a lofty thing. I, on the podcast, said if we get 100,000 subscribers, I will spend an entire day on the show floor at the celebration thereafter in the full Leia bikini.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. So
if
people want to see me
in my future,
embarrassed, then let's bump up those numbers. But and thank you to everybody who supports us on Patreon at patreon.com/resistance-broadcast. We have day jobs, we have kids, we have families. I'm coaching T-ball. Like we're all doing a lot in our lives. So you allow us to keep doing what we're doing here. So if you can support us, we appreciate it. If not, that's cool. But thank you to everybody who supports us over there very much. Clayton, as always, it flies by. It's been a long time since you've been on, but I know you've been busy and there's been a lot going on. But let's reunite post Indy.
Yes.
Maybe maybe you and I do a special, because I don't know that James and Lacey are huge indie fans. Maybe you and I do a special indie thing. I don't know.
Sure.
Let's talk post indie.
I'm in.
If I don't get to the premiere, Lucasfilm, please invite me to the premiere for Indiana Jones.
John's manifesting right now.
Yes, apparently if you manifest things happen. So I'm going to manifest going to the premiere of Indiana Jones. But if not, that's okay.
I can fully attest to manifesting.
It's a thing. Put it out there.
It's a thing.
All right. And then with that in mind, a week from tomorrow, make Solo 2 happen day online. Let's support what they were originally planning to do. Clayton, thanks so much, man. It's been a blast, and we'll definitely talk soon.
Thanks to you guys, and thanks to all of your fans and listeners who show up and say hello. It's always fun and just reflective of the great work you guys are doing. So,
and they reflect. They told us, they're like, I was nervous to meet Clayton, but like several of them, I was nervous to meet Clayton. But once I did, he was the nicest guy. So thank you so much.
That's so nice. Yeah, that's so nice. All right,
cool.
So
it's reciprocated. But thank you to everybody. Have a wonderful week, and we'll see you live Thursday with another episode right here on the Resistance broadcast. So we'll see you around, kids.
Adios.